Hey guys, in this video we're going to be covering Target 2C. Our first mastery learning objective is I can factor quadratics with positive numbers by identifying the factors in the Punnett square. So basically, our vocab here is, well, what is factoring? When we have, thinking back to our previous two videos before this, right? When we had two binomials and we were multiplying those together, that's called distribute, right? We're distributing to get that final trinomial that has those three terms. What we want to do now is go the opposite direction. We're going to be given our trinomial, and we want to factor it and go back to our binomial. So that's what we're going to do in this in section 2C. I'm dealing with different examples of that, and we're going to be still using our Punnett square. So the first thing is we want to put that first term in the upper left corner and the last term in the bottom right corner. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit here, and I'm going to follow those steps looking at these examples here. So the first thing is I know I'm going to be using a Punnett square box, so I'm going to go ahead and draw myself a Punnett square box. And then it says put the first term in the upper left corner, right? So our first term here, first term upper left corner. So my first term is y squared. And then the last term in the bottom right corner. So if I use the last term right there, which is a positive 18. All right, now it says find two numbers that multiply to the last term. So I want to multiply to that last term, which is 18. And then I want to add to the middle term. So this right here is the term I need to add to. So I'm just going to kind of put here, just so that we know what we're talking about, we need to add to that number. So far we're multiplying to 18, adding to 9y. Put these two terms in those open boxes and then factor the outside. So what we want to do here then, you want to make sure you either use your multiplication chart. If you don't have that, you should still have it from the last unit. We're still using that. And what we want to do is we want to multiply to 18. So I want to look at my factor chart at all the places that I see an 18, right? So if I mark this up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and highlight some spaces. I see 18 right here, 18 times 1. But 18 and 1, right, if I have 18 plus 1, that adds up to 19. I need to add up to 9 because that was my middle term. Look at the next 18. I see right here an 18, which is 9 and 2. Well, if I do a 9 plus a 2, that's an 11. That doesn't add up to 9. I look at the next 18. I see that's 6 and 3. So 6 plus 3, that does equal 9. So those are going to be the two terms I'm going to use in my Punnett square box. So kind of a refresher of what that's going to look like. I'm going to write that right here on the side. We want to make sure that I'm multiplying to 18, which we said 6 times 3 was 18. That's good because that was my last term. And then I wanted to add to that middle term, which is a 9y. So that's why I'm going to have a 6y plus a 3y is going to equal 9y. 9y. That's a y. All right, so these two terms are going to be the terms that I put into my box. So I'm going to have a positive 6y and a positive 3y. Now I want to go backwards and figure out what the sides of my Punnett square box are. Well, how did I get this y squared? Well, that would be y times y. How did I get this plus 6y? Well, if I already have a y there on the far left, I have to be adding 6 here because 6 times y is 6y. The next one, y times a positive 3 gave me a positive 3y. And check the last box, 3 times 6 is 18. So these are my binomials that I'm going to use that are going to factor that trinomial. So my factors are going to be y plus 6 times y plus 3. Those are my two factors, and I can go ahead and move on to the next example. Looking at this one, again, I'm going to draw my Punnett square box. I'm going to take that last term and put it in the bottom left, so a positive 24. That's what I'm going to be multiplying to. So that's the number I'm going to be looking for on my chart. I have my first term, which is a w squared. And then I have to add to our middle term there, which is a 10w. All right, so I'm looking for numbers that multiply again to 28, add to 10. So I'm going to go back to my factor chart here, and I'm going to look at 24. I'm going to highlight these in yellow. So first 24 here, but I have 24 and 1, though that does not add up to 10. For the next one, 12 and 2, that doesn't add up to 10. 8 and 3. That adds up to 11. 6 and 4. That one works, right? 6 times 4 is 24, and 6 plus 4 is 10. That's exactly what I needed because that was my middle term of my trinomial. So I'm going to go back to my notes here. And I want to go ahead and write those then on the side there so I know exactly where I'm going to be placing them. Like I said, we had our 6 times 4, which was 24, it's what we needed. So then I'm going to say 6x plus 4x adds up to 10x. Oh, and I think we had w's actually. So make these w's. I'm so used to writing x's, guys. I'm sorry. 10w. All right, and those are the two terms I'm going to use in my Punnett square. So I'm going to take my 6x. Again, it does not matter where you place them. Fill them in anywhere. And now we need to go ahead and figure out what the outsides are going to be. Well, we get a w squared by multiplying w times w. 6w, we need a w times a positive 6. W times a positive 4 is a positive 4w, and the last box, 4 times 6 is 24. So our binomials here are going to be w plus 6. Keeps doing that. So w plus 6 and w plus 4. All right, last two examples. I have x squared plus 6x plus 8. So again, start off with my Punnett square box. I'm going to take that last term and put that in the bottom right. That's what I'm going to be multiplying to. That's the number I'm looking for on my chart. My first term goes in the top left. And I need to add to 6x. So things that multiply to 8, but add to 6. So I'm going to look back at my factor chart. Let's see. I'm looking for the number 8. So I see an 8 right here, 8 and 1. That doesn't add up to 6. 4 and 2. That adds up to 6, right? 4 plus 2 does equal 6, so I'm going to be using those two terms. So going back to my chart, again, if you get a little bit faster at finding those, you don't have to like keep going back to the multiplication chart. Eventually, you'll kind of see those factors, but just to show you where I'm getting those numbers from. All right, so I know that then 4 times 2, that equals 8, and 4x plus 2x does equal my 6x, which is what I needed. I take each of those terms and I put them in those empty boxes. And then figure out what the outside is going to be. Well, x squared is going to be x times x. X times a positive 4 gives me a positive 4x. X times a positive 2 gives me a positive 2x. And 2 times 4 does give me 8. So my binomials then are going to be x plus 4 times x plus 2. And again, those are my factors for that trinomial of x squared plus 6x plus 8. Kind of sharing some room here. I'm going to go ahead and draw a line here just so we don't get confused. And I'm going to rewrite this equation just down here so we can see it. So x squared plus 7x plus 12. I'm going to draw my Punnett square box. Right, that first term goes in the top left. That last term goes in the bottom. And that is what I'm going to be multiplying to. So I need two numbers that multiply to 12, but then add to 7x. So numbers that multiply to 12, but add to 7. So I'm going to go to my multiplication chart, and I am going to be looking for 12s. I see a 12 here. 12 times 1. I see a 12 here. 6 times 2, but that doesn't add up to 7. And I see a 12 here, which is 3 times 4, right? 3 times 4 does work. 3 plus 4 equals 7, which was that middle term, which is exactly what I needed. So I'm going to go back to my notes here. Scroll up a little bit. And then I see that I had 3 times 4, right? That equaled 12, which is what I needed. And then I said 3x plus 4x equals 7x. I'm going to take those two, put them in anywhere I want in my Punnett square box, and figure out the outsides, right? X times x does give me my x squared. X times a positive 3 gives me a positive 3x. X times a positive 4 gives me a positive 4x. Again, we're working backwards. And then 3 times 4 does give me my 12. So my final answer in factored form then is going to be x plus 3 times x plus 4. Those factors, again, doesn't matter which way you have first or second. As long as you have both of them written down, you are good to go. All right. Ignore that 2C.2 mastery learning objective. That's supposed to be on the next page. But you can go ahead and get started on 2C.1 activity. Good luck, guys.